Every time. So hello, this is At Ease with. Are they watching basketball on the? Wow, this has to be a first. This has to be a first. Hold on 1 second. On our board where you can see the votes, they are totally watching basketball, and I think that's the first that I've ever seen. But anyway, this is Delegate Sia.
And Delegate Ayers.
And we are At Ease, and we were just on Instagram Live, and we were telling people, look, it's been a long day today, and we are going back into session at 8:06, but it's because we have to finish all of the revenue bills today. And so we just got a fresh stack of bills for a new calendar that we're about to address from the Senate, and the Senate just got some of our bills, so we have more votes tonight.
So Delegate Price,
what?
Wait a minute.
What?
Can you unpack that a little bit for the viewers?
Well, why don't we let the one of us that is on the Appropriations Committee unpack that? What is a revenue bill?
So a revenue bill is a piece of legislation that has any financial impact, has anything to do with money. And so there are still a number of those bills before us. We passed or have voted up or down all of the House versions of those. But like Delegate Price said, the Senate bills are coming over, and we cannot leave until we address those bills this evening.
And why is it important that we pass anything that has an impact on the budget?
Because we're still working on the budget. So for many of you all, if you missed our last update, we went in depth and discussed the budget process. And so as a quick recap, the budget is now in conference. We named the members of the conferees during yesterday's session, and essentially if there are issues you still care about that are pertaining to the budget, bills, well, no, we're doing that today. Any specific priorities that pertain to the budget, you can still advocate for those. But now you should advocate with the conferees and not just the members, because the conferees from the House and the conferees from the Senate will be the ones to hash out the final negotiations.
And we will post some of the names of the conferees in the caption. But we wanted to give you guys an opportunity to we wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask us questions about maybe a bill you were following, or what we're doing in session, or something general about what we have been able to accomplish this session. But I do believe that this might be episode 9, but I think it is season 3. I think we did start it 2 sessions ago.
Wow,
we'll have to fact check that.
Thanks for that question, Morgan.
Right.
And so, just really quickly, just so you can understand also what to expect, not just the remainder of today, but in the coming days as we wrap up session. I mean, we're really narrowing down on any bills that are remaining, because many of the committees have either had their final meetings or have maybe one meeting remaining into the end of this week and early next week. If you had a bill that maybe passed the House in one version, passed the Senate in another version, that legislation can also still go into conference, and then that language needs to be negotiated. So all bills are not in final form just yet. And then I think from there...
So on that too, if you're looking on lis.virginia.gov, and you're looking at a bill, and at the bottom it says conference, and if you click on that, that lets you know who are the conferees for that conference committee, and those are the people that are going to be hashing out the differences. And so you definitely want to reach out to them if there's I think we had some differences with our decriminalization bills with marijuana. So yes, I would love to hear from you, but I'm not directly in the conversation getting to that compromise. You can talk directly with the conferees, or you can reach out to us and we can pass on the message. But that's something that you should know about. Conference, of course, those still go on. And if they don't have an impact on the budget, they have until the 6th?
Yes.
The 6th of March. So keep your eye on that for those bills.
And just to be clear, the last day of session is March 7th. So that's why March 6th is the last day to actually act on those bills that have any type of non-financial impact. There was a question about, are we satisfied with the criminal justice reform measures passed to date? So I would say that we've made great progress considering where we are. I know you might think that's a cop-out. It's totally not. I strongly feel like that dealing with unraveling the pile that we were handed as it pertains to criminal justice reform, we have to take that bits and pieces at a time. We have gone really far, but there is still work to be done. And in my famous quote from today, I'm saying just because we've done more than we ever have before doesn't mean our work is done. And I think that rings true even in this scenario.
And I will say, speaking for me,
Hello, Delegate Askew from
This
Virginia
is Alex.
Beach.
I mean, Delegate Askew from Virginia Beach. He's a newbie.
Delegate Askew, how does it feel to be, in your first session and coming to the end of your first session?
It feels amazing. We've done a lot of great work this year, and I'm just excited to get to the end to sort of see the results of all our hard work.
Y'all see how he switched up his voice, trying to sound all professional.
That's how I sound all the time.
Nah, just nothing.
Thanks,
So I
Delegate
would say
Askew.
about the criminal justice reform. So like Delegate Ayers said, there were a lot of bills that were, I think, obstacles to criminal justice reform that we had to address. So getting some of that out of the code before we could really proactively put some in. So I want to speak to one of those, and that really was the decriminalization bill. And a lot of people ask me, why not just go for full legalization? And one of the things that was brought out was we don't have the infrastructure right now in order to do it in the right way, and so trying to build that over the interim and seeing what we could get to next year. But I do, like Delegate Airfield, that we need to make significant strides as it pertains to expungement. A lot of the pieces that still need to go together to get to true just justice, period, really. But I also want to remind people, a Democratic majority is not necessarily a progressive Democratic majority, so, take that for what it's worth.
We'll talk about that after session.
But hey, oh my gosh, you guys are giving us love.
So are there questions that you have about bills that are still before us, about the process, about bills that you'd like to see us bring next year? I mean, I think there are a lot of conversations that need to continue to be had. But I should also say we cannot undo 400 years in one session.
That's
even
true.
though we're trying to get close.
That's true.
And so just to reiterate some of what Delegate Price is saying, that these things are on our radar, regardless of if you see them happening right away. We absolutely care about them, and we're absolutely going to be working towards going even further than we did in just this one.
Right, and if you were following any of our legislation, don't forget that this is bicameral. So everything that we do that you may have liked, it has to get out of the Senate, and needs 21 votes to get out of the Senate. And so we have to contend with 100 people over at the House of Delegates and then 40 people over at the Senate. So in order to get out of majorities of both, just remembering that. And so if you feel like things have been moderate, or if you feel like things haven't been moving fast enough, understand that. And if you think that things are moving too fast, catch up, because we got some more to do.
And I would say one of the most important bills that we are still deliberating, or issues this session, is redistricting. And so if you care a lot about that, continue to follow the legislation that's still alive, continue to advocate with your legislators. So many thoughts on this topic that it's not enough time, but that is still work that we are going to continue to do, not forgetting about casinos and gambling.
I'll let you have that
I
one.
mean, we have plenty to talk about when it comes to that. Those bills are still alive. They're actually in conference right now. So there is still a lot of work for us to do, and we're nowhere near finished, but we are winding down.
And then one of the other ones, which we had a press conference today about, is the minimum wage bill. And the House version and the Senate version are worlds apart. And so there's going to be significant work that needs to be done so that we can keep out the regional aspect. I think they said it might take 14 years for Hampton Roads to get to $15 an hour. If we were to enact this regional model, the minimum wage, again, was put into place for a universal floor. So putting in regional models that would change things for different areas, that's not good for, I think, any of the urban crescent except for Northern Virginia. But we can't do that, and we also can't add exclusions. We need to make sure that all hardworking Virginians have at least the chance to earn minimum wage, if not more. But so we are still working on that as well.
So lots going on the floor right now. If you have questions, please, let us know what they are. Continue to visit the legislative website to track your legislation, lis.virginia.gov.
Yep.
And you can reach us here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any social media, to try and get information from us as well.
And if you have topics that you want us to cover at our next couple of at eases, because over the next Thursday, Friday, so we have 6, 7, 8 more days of session. There will be a little bit of time where we'll have at eases and recesses, and so funding bill for small business. So there are actually several bills that were either aimed at increasing bids for, or the bid, bettering the bid process for small businesses to be involved in procurement. There are workforce development bills. There are investment within the budget for small businesses.
And there is language in the budget that speaks specifically to developing a commission that will assess the status of small and minority-owned swim businesses, essentially, in Virginia, and the supports that are necessary to ensure we are promoting them and giving them the same access that larger entities are having at this time.
Right, and while I'm typically not down with a lot of these, while I'm typically not down with a lot of these tax cuts, there are some tax incentives as well that will help small businesses, and so we have quite a bit going on for that. And so I would tell you, definitely take a look in the budget at budget.lis.virginia.gov and lis.virginia.gov, and I think you'll see some great things in there for small businesses. We know that they are the backbone of the Virginia economy, so we want to make sure that we are taking care of y'all.
And so as the bills are being brought in from the Senate, there's some processing that's occurring to prepare our supplemental calendar. And so right now we are continuing to be at ease, but any moment now, the closer we get to 8:06, I believe it is,
8:06.
we will go back to voting and back to deliberating legislation. So just know that your leaders are committed. We are here trying to make sure we are offering you the best representation that we can offer.
Absolutely, and I did not realize how tired I looked until we got onto this little camera, but we have really been putting in some work this session, but we understand by no means was this an exhaustive list of things that need to be done and fixed in our code, so we are going to continue to work on that. But let's see, any announcements? You got anything going on in your area?
No. I'm sure there is, maybe.
Well, don't forget the census is coming up. And so Census Day is April 1st. I have a couple of tweets up that really talk about the 4 ways that census data is used and why a complete count in Virginia is super important. Be counted. Absolutely. Fill out your form. If you have any questions, you can reach out to either one of us. But we want to make sure all of our communities are fully counted so we get all of the resources and the voice that we have in our vote and our districts, have all of that be good based on who is actually living in our districts, residents, and make sure we have a good picture of who's in our district.
Literally every person that is counted equates to $1 that's received.
Yeah, well, actually $2,000.
Well,
because they say for every uncounted person, we lose $2,000 per year for 10 years. So if 500 people in the 95th district go uncounted, then Newport News could lose $10 million over 10 years. And I think we can come up with some stuff that we could use $10 million for. So it's very, very, very important that not only you fill out your census, but you include everyone that resides in your home on April 1st. You can do it by telephone, online, or by mail. And if you don't fill it out, they're going to knock on your door. So might as well get it out the way. Senator Sproul, sir, can y'all hurry up so we can go home? But we appreciate you, Senator Sproul, and all of your hard work.
Shout out to Senator Sproul.
And Pam Taylor, I'm putting in that Girl Scout cookie order today. So thank you and your daughters for supplying.
Thanks, everyone.
So we're going to get back to work. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Is this IG or?
This actually. And live.
Okay.
Like now.
Oh.
Like right now?
Like right now, right now.
At ease.
At ease.
She almost broke all of my front teeth.
With Delegate Price and Delegate Aird, and we are still on the floor. It's 401, but we are trying to address many of the revenue bills that have come out of the Appropriations Committee. Did I say we have a special guest before I just jump into the business? Delegate Bourne, City of Richmond representative, special guest today. Delegate Bourne, tell us why today's a big deal for you.
I mean, today's a big deal because we're continuing to move forward on gun violence reduction legislation. In fact, the bill I've been carrying for several years, Lawsuit Stolen Guns, just passed out of the Senate a few hours ago. We've got revenue bills on the agenda. We've got some access to the ballot voting bills that we've got.
Lots of good democracy bills today.
So today's one of those days that, while it may take us a long time to get to the end,
Here we are.
Good stuff.
Yes.
And I'm just so happy that I was actually asked to be on at ease.
Were you asked?
Actually, Debo.
I whispered a little.
Debo.
I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Debo.
First of all, Delegate Ed nor Delegate Price are being deboed by anyone, but we do love our Delegate Bourne, and so we are happy to have him on at ease. And so we will be at ease now, and then we'll take up a few more bills, and there might be another recess, and the Senate is going to be in pretty for a while today too. But like we said, lots of good stuff coming out, and so stay tuned. Don't forget to go to lis.virginia.gov and click on bills and resolutions. Hey there, this is Delegate Sia
And Delegate Aaron.
and we are at ease.
Yeah.
So this is our third time coming back to you. What's the third?
If we count the 2 Instagrams and the Facebook, this is our
Okay, maybe
fourth.
not third. But this is to show you that it is 11:02 and we are literally still here doing the work of the people. And not by ourselves, but also with
We have some
special guests
friends.
from the west side of the state, Southwest Virginia,
Right.
Delegate Nick Rush and Delegate O'Quinn. And they are here doing the work along with us, but we are exhausted. We shared
see
with
it.
you earlier that we were here to still wait on passing the revenue bills before we get to the deadline.
And we're waiting on the Senate.
Yeah, of course, per usual.
And it's just like we got through one supplemental calendar and then in another one.
This is number
There
one.
was another one.
We heard another one's coming.
But since we have our special guests from the Southwest here, I mean, we want to talk to them about what this experience has been like for them. A new year, a new era. How have things been going?
You know, it's been okay. Definitely been a little different.
So where are you from in the Southwest exactly?
Some things never change, right? Friendships never change.
Oh,
I'm glad I built
friends.
good
He does not speak for me. He does
Glad I
not
built
speak
good
for me.
relationships with people before
They,
that changed.
they do not speak for me.
Well, she didn't have any good relationships. We're not. Yeah.
All I
I'm just
can,
drinking her coffee.
there's literally nothing in that cup. But we won't go to that. You get a little delirious at this hour.
But where are you from?
Yes.
I'm from Christiansburg. I represent Montgomery, Pulaski, and Floyd counties.
I represent the city of Bristol, Washington County, Smith County, Grayson County, and the city of Palax.
How long does it take you all to get home?
5 to 5.5 hours.
This is 3.5 for me.
Who's the delegate that represents the furthest west of Virginia?
Terry Kilgore.
Kilgore.
He's
Okay.
about 40 miles west of me.
Wow.
And then something that maybe the viewers don't know is he is actually closer to 6 state capitals than he is to Richmond.
It literally is another part of Virginia that is unlike the rest of what we're used to seeing.
And we all have to function here in one legislative body.
And that's the part about the functioning that we like to highlight, because some of the things that we have in common don't really make it to the papers. It's really the things that we're like fighting against. But you both have brought up some issues with like needing workforce development and some of the things that y'all are dealing with. So what are some of the issues that y'all deal with in your
I
party?
think one of the issues that we have that cuts across all geographic boundaries is K-12 education.
Absolutely.
You know, we have the same issues with our schools, the same issues with equitable funding, and for us, education is where the rubber meets the road, and so it's one of the things that we're always willing to go to the mat for.
You know, one of the first things I
We've all
learned.
partnered on some of
Absolutely.
the
Oh, yeah,
stuff,
absolutely.
whether it be the 10-10-10 plan or school construction, some of the
Add-on
stuff,
funding.
Actress add-on.
All of
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
So some of those same things that help Newport News and Petersburg also help you all as part of this thing too.
Yeah, help
And-
our rural counties.
Yep.
In my first time visiting the southwest part of the state, I learned that literally the dynamics of some of the challenges and barriers that they are experiencing are no different than what, say, my part of the state in Petersburg and in my rural localities are dealing with. The only difference is the ethnicity.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Otherwise,
the music that we listen to.
That might go hand in hand a little bit.
I'm
A little bit.
fine with how you describe
Food
it.
seasoning, things like that. It's all the same. It's all the same.
but literally, these are some of the things that you don't typically see at the federal level. You see a lot of dysfunction. You see a lot of I'm on my side, you're on your side, and we're not going to ever cross. It's really not like that. There are a handful of ideological issues that we deal with I can't see that. So much.
Somebody making fun of my
So
accent.
no, she says, thank y'all for these late night treats and sacrifices. We appreciate you and y'all's long drives.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but it really is interesting. If you have started to watch session every day, you'll start to see that there are more bills that we agree on than the ones that we are split by party. And then some of the times we agree by region or just interest, but it's not just what you read in the papers.
Tell people every day you start the calendar with the uncontested.
Uncontested.
calendar.
Uncontested means no, zero no votes. Yep.
And, what I like about this body is that everyone here is here for the right reasons, and that means you can disagree on stuff, but I never question people's motives.
I'm working to get there.
And we're bringing you along.
Yes, yes. And what committees do you serve on?
I serve on appropriations, public safety, and privileges and elections.
Right.
I think
So
we're-
2 out of your 3,
we're-
we're
yeah,
on the
2
same
out
one.
of 3.
And what about you?
Privileges and elections and labor and commerce.
And how long have y'all been in office?
9 years.
9.
We were
Wow.
elected in the same
Same
class.
class, yeah.
Wow.
We used to sit right here. It
Yeah.
shows the total change of the dynamics of the body. But
Yes.
so
It can happen very
So there's a
quickly.
question like, do you all have food deserts and food insecurity in your areas too, as well?
yeah, very yeah.
The other places you could easily drive an hour to get to the grocery store.
And there,
And-
and there are a lot of your convenience stores have become de facto supermarkets.
Same with that. Yes.
Dollar General.
Dollar Generals have popped up everywhere.
Really?
And in
Yes.
rural Virginia, you do not have public transit options, so you either ride or catch a ride and to get to the grocery store.
And I know that Senator Stanley is out from a more western part of the state, and then Dolores McQuinn, Delegate Dolores McQuinn is from Richmond, and they work together on the grocery fund, which is for food deserts, and so that shows another like people just trying to eat, so
Absolutely.
no matter where they live.
No matter where
And what do you
you
do
are.
in your life when you're not here in the Capitol?
I work in financial planning.
Okay.
And the restaurant.
You can get their budgets together.
Yeah, I'll try.
And what about you?
Work for a grocery chain based in Abingdon. We have stores in 4 states.
Nice. And as Delegate aired,
in the middle of our.
so Delegate aired. We're not even gonna talk about it. And what do you do in your day life?
So I am a higher education administrator, chief of staff at Richard One College of Living Arts. I don't know that I've ever said that on this. So yes, my background by trade is higher.
And I run a nonprofit for community organizing in Hampton and Newport News.
So if any of you all have questions, pop them up onto the screen. We're thrilled to be doing a real bipartisan at ease this evening.
This might be the only one.
Keeping the conversation going. We are still on the floor.
That's Southwest Virginia's
Trying
finest
to be
coffee.
upbeat and trying to make sure we are continuing to represent your issues while we are here in session. And if there are no questions,
Wait. What else can we talk about?
So we had the big Virginia Tech UVA game tonight. I represent Virginia Tech,
Nice.
Lane Stadium, Castle Coliseum.
Did y'all win or lose?
We lost by 3 on the last second shot, which I
Sorry to hear
expected
that.
because I'm a Virginia Tech fan.
Oh.
I agree. We don't like UVA. So.
Not my first loss.
hope we don't have any Hokie or
Right.
UVA fans.
I was just like, go sports, because y'all seem really excited.
Let's see, maybe a question here. I still can't read it.
Hey, delegates. Thanks for all of your hard work this session. So proud of everything you've done. Oh, thank you. We like those messages because there's so many others that we
They
get.
make it all worth
Well,
it.
so for y'all, now that you guys are in the majority, are you getting a lot more emails,
Absolutely.
like opposing some things?
Absolutely. And a lot more people know my name because now they don't like my bills coming from,
Yeah.
your part of the state.
Oh, yeah.
But just, I carried some bills that were in a little bit of the contentious areas. So I made some new friends. But just a reminder, I do not check my Facebook messages because I don't need that negativity in my life. So you want to call me about a bill, you call my state number or you send it to the state email. so I can forward some of those straight to the state police.
I'm guilty. I don't think I am guilty. I have tried to use the rule of thumb to not create a habit that I don't want to continue on. So it's really difficult because I'm a really active social user. So if you message me, I typically will either send you a very nice message back or direct you to my office for a further, more elaborate discussion. But I mean, it really is just hard to begin that habit because there's so many messages, so many people reaching out to you.
And so if you really want them to be tracked, we are not the ones to talk to first. Like, you need to go through our offices so we can have your input on the bill count towards, the deliberations that we're actually making.
And we've got a system that will allow us to look at that while just before we vote or
Yep.
while we're preparing.
It's great because as you're reading through the bills, you can see every single person who's for it or against it.
Yep.
And it's a great way to weigh your vote.
And if you're sending it straight to us, it's a huge possibility it's not making.
And it's
that
hit or
area.
miss because, like, these were my 2 binders for the day. Like, that was just today's vote. So you text me while we're here. Like, what?
Binder
The
was
binder
not
wasn't quite that big.
Y'all print this off so you know the difference between the bills.
Luckily, I have a photographic memory, so when I'm
This is
photographic
going on
memory.
the internet. It's easier to track that stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I need to hold it. I need to write on it. But yeah, so we are glad to have friends that we can talk with on the other side of the aisle. And it really is that 80-20, where most of the work that we're doing, we're working together to make the Commonwealth better. And it's that 20% that ends up in the newspapers, but it's all important.
Yeah, it's all important.
It's all important.
And everybody's here to do a job. And I'm not offended by anybody's bill.
You can't be.
You cannot be.
I mean, we all represent different groups.
Yeah, we do not have time for emotions here. It's got to
And
be.
there are times when you literally have to sit in committee and vote against your best friend's bill.
Yeah.
It's not
It just
easy,
happens
Yeah.
sometimes.
but that's governing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might have thrown up a
You
no
got to
vote.
represent your
What?
constituents. You just got to represent.
Actually, I don't know that I have.
Oops.
Well,
She says
All right,
she's
so
nice.
moving on.
Kidding. She's so nice.
Moving on. But yeah, so I do feel like if we continue this much longer, it's just gonna unravel. We are tired. Some of us are hungry, but we really are here to do the work for the people, no matter where we come from.
And I hope that this is showing you that truly we have bipartisan relationships. No matter how far on the other side of Virginia you are, what your positions are, we can still come together, have conversations that are civil. We can still talk through making changes to legislation that takes into consideration the different aspects of each other's areas. And this literally is how we pretty much function, and it's not as contentious as it may be playing out in a public setting and or the newspaper or on the news. We really do have conversations that work together.
At least with these two.
That's true.
No, just kidding. But you all have a great night, and hopefully we'll get to go home soon.
We're still at ease.
Literally, we're still
Literally, we're still at ease. Y'all have a good night.
See y'all.
And click on bills and resolutions, and you can see all of the bills that we are passing to make your life better.
And just another reminder that as you are following many of the bills that are important to you, just another reminder about conference committees. There are still a number of bills that are going into conference as we negotiate the final language. And so your job in advocating is not done. If you have a bill that has not died and is going to be put into conference, make sure that you continue to reach out to legislators and ask them to support the legislation in a particular way. And furthermore, as our conferees were just announced yesterday, they will begin final negotiations on the budget.
Yes.
And so if there are issues in the budget that you care deeply about, an issue that was not properly captured in one version or another, continue to reach out now to those conferees. Like HBCU funding, it's not in the Senate budget. We should be talking about that. Make sure to reach out to the conferees and let them know just how important it is to you to make sure that those things are in the final version that we'll be voting on.
And that's the same. I know a lot of people have reached out to us about minimum wage and that they like House Bill 395. Continue to advocate for that. We were with a few organizations this morning talking about what the regional minimum wage would do to areas like ours, Richmond, Petersburg, Hampton Roads, and how rural communities, how we want the universal floor to be equal within the minimum wage, so that women of color and people, black and brown people all across the Commonwealth, will not be locked into their experiencing of poverty. And we really want the next generation to be able to do even better than what we're doing now. And so we don't want to lock in those, unfortunately, race-based types of exclusions or regional types of minimum wages.
To that point, on a lot of these education issues, we always say your zip code should not determine the quality of your education. Your zip code should not determine what minimum wage you get to make while you're at a job.
And Delegate Ear, what did you talk about this morning? Your point of personal privilege for Black History.
So coming soon to a medium near you will be my point of personal privilege from this afternoon, which really speaks to the fact that 66 years later, after Brown versus Board of Education, it appears as though we are still separate and unequal.
And maybe we are hearing to the court's decision, because they did say with all deliberate speed.
Well, there you go. And so we'll make sure that we post the link for that speech and the link for the bill, so that you continue to follow us. And we're going to go and try and get some ice cream now.
We might come back to you later, but that's it for now.
All right. Talk to you soon.